The backstage photos dropped, the fandom went silent, and in an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down. Welcome to Starscope K-Report. Join Eric and Minji as they ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
Yeah, we are so excited to have you here today.
We really are. And today's mission is, well, it's a heavy one. We are diving into a deep dive based on a pretty explosive YouTube title.
Oh, yeah.
It's titled, They Finally Came Out, Armies Are Heartbroken, Backlash.
Just a massive, massive story. I mean, we are looking at the intense controversy surrounding BTS members RM and J-Hope.
Right.
Specifically, them attending a Chris Brown concert.
Yeah.
And, the fierce divide this has sparked between domestic K-nets and international fans.
Not to mention the complete silence from their agency, which we will definitely get into.
Oh, absolutely.
But we aren't just going to recap the timeline today. If you've ever spent, hours defending your favorite artist online or felt a genuine sting when they made a controversial choice, you know exactly how deep that loyalty goes.
It runs so deep.
It does. So we are going to examine the profound psychology behind that loyalty using some really fascinating recent academic research from Erasmus University.
Because what starts as a simple night out in Toronto, it quickly spirals into this highly complex debate.
Yeah.
A debate about morality, fandom expectations, and the intensely regulated mechanics of the global idol system.
Exactly. So to understand the sheer scale of the fallout, we first need to look at the reality of the incident itself. Let's set the scene for you.
Please do.
It's August 12th, 2026. BTS is currently dominating the globe with their massive Arirang World Tour.
Which has been incredible, by the way.
Oh, totally. They had just wrapped up a highly praised set of shows in Baltimore, and they were prepping for their own upcoming stadium dates at Toronto's Rogers Stadium later that week, right?
Yeah.
So August 22nd and 23rd. But on their off night, RM and J-Hope decided to attend Chris Brown and Usher's The R&B Tour at that exact same venue.
And, in the era of hyper-connected social media, an off night for a global superstar is rarely just an off night.
No, never.
It is an extension of their public brand. Every single move is scrutinized.
Exactly. And the internet didn't just find out through, grainy paparazzi photos. The artists broadcasted it themselves.
That's the craziest part.
Right. J-Hope posted Instagram videos of himself and RM dancing, totally vibing along to Usher's and Chris Brown's Look at Me Now.
Yeah, and then it got worse.
It did. Because shortly after, Chris Brown himself posted backstage photos. He's laughing and shaking hands with the two BTS members.
Wow.
And to add fuel to the fire, fans quickly resurfaced recent Weverse live streams showing the Maknae line, the youngest members, Z and Jungkook, also enthusiastically vibing to Chris Brown tracks.
So it wasn't just two of them.
No. So the fandom realized this wasn't just an isolated incident. There was a broader group appreciation happening.
Which brings us to the emotional core of why the fandom just shattered. I mean, to understand the heartbreak here, you have to look at the demographics and the history.
Definitely.
Chris Brown is an incredibly controversial figure. He has a long, legally documented history of violence.
Right.
The 2009 felony assault on his then-girlfriend Rihanna is the most prominent, obviously.
Right.
But it isn't an isolated event.
No, not at all.
There have been further legal controversies over the years, including a 2023 London nightclub affray where he hit a music producer with a bottle.
Jeez.
Yeah, and that actually led to a guilty plea just recently in July 2024.
It's a heavy, deeply uncomfortable history.
It really is. And it's an unavoidable one when discussing his place in the music industry. So when you look at the BTS fandom, it is made up largely of women.
Right. A huge female demographic.
Exactly. So for these fans, seeing their biases, the specific group members they claim as their absolute favorites, and invest immense emotional energy into seeing them visibly supporting and laughing with someone with a documented history of violence against women.
It felt like a total gut punch.
A total gut punch. To many fans, looking at those visuals, a backstage photo isn't just networking. It reads as an endorsement of a man who has caused severe harm.
Okay, I hear that. But let me push back a little on the idea of a photo being a direct endorsement.
Okay, let's hear it.
Is it possible they just wanted to study the performance of a legacy R&B artist? I mean, Usher is a legend. And Chris Brown, despite his terrible personal history, is widely cited within the industry for his stage performance and choreography.
That is true, he is.
Right. So could it be like a filmmaker buying a ticket to a highly controversial movie purely to study the cinematography, you aren't endorsing the director's morals, you know? You're just analyzing the technical execution of the craft.
I see the logic in that comparison, I really do. But there's a flaw in applying it to this specific situation, and it's a flaw the fans themselves were quick to point out.
What's that?
You might think that, but wait until you hear the specific contradiction netizens uncovered about J-Hope's own musical heroes. It completely changes the context.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm hooked. But really quickly, before we get into that contradiction, if you love staying updated on your favorites, make sure you're subscribed to Starscope K-Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead, and you don't want to miss them.
Yes, definitely subscribe. So let's talk about that contradiction.
Right, the Rihanna contradiction. This is where the narrative really complicates itself.
It really does.
For anyone who doesn't know, J-Hope has been a massive, highly vocal fan of Rihanna for years.
Huge fan.
Like, he has talked in numerous interviews about how much he loves her music, how he's been a fan since childhood, and how he's always publicly hoping for her next album drop.
Which makes the cognitive dissonance for the fans almost unbearable. I mean, the emotional frustration stems from a very logical question.
Which is?
If you publicly and repeatedly admire an artist who was violently assaulted, how can you then turn around and happily pose for backstage photos with the man who assaulted her?
Oof. Yeah, when you put it like that.
Right. For a fandom that pays microscopic attention to everything these idols say and do, standing next to Chris Brown doesn't read as a neutral appreciation of choreography.
No, it doesn't.
It reads as turning a blind eye to a very painful, very public history of abuse against someone you claim to respect.
And this contradiction directly collides with the massive, progressive brand BTS has cultivated over the last decade.
Exactly.
We are talking about artists who serve as UNICEF Generation Unlimited ambassadors. They have built a global empire around anti-violence campaigns, youth empowerment, speaking at the UN.
RM is constantly praised for his feminist reading recommendations.
Yes. They have actively cultivated a very woke, socially conscious image. So when the reality doesn't match the marketing, the resulting fandom civil war is just brutal.
It really is a civil war right now. If you look at the discussions across platforms like Reddit, specifically communities like Army Neutral and Kpop Thoughts, you see a clear fracture.
Oh, the threads are wild right now.
They are. It is a full-on defense versus offense situation. And it largely centers around the concept of cultural context and privilege.
Let's break down those two camps for the listeners. On the defense side, you have fans arguing that it's just music.
Right.
They are pointing out a cultural gap, suggesting that outside of the United States, the full, visceral extent of Chris Brown's history might not be as universally known.
Or culturally resonant, yeah.
Exactly. They're essentially arguing that we shouldn't project American cultural context and cancel culture standards onto Korean artists. Artists who might simply be enjoying a catchy R&B song and meeting an American celebrity.
But that defense is immediately met with fierce pushback from the critics.
Oh, I bet.
The offense side is flat out rejecting the "they didn't know" narrative. They argue that using nationality as an excuse is essentially just a shield for male privilege.
Interesting.
Because, I mean, we live in a highly connected, hyper-globalized world. A quick internet search brings up Chris Brown's history instantly.
Literally in seconds.
Right. Critics are pointing out a glaring double standard. If every day teenage fans in the Philippines or Brazil or Germany can easily uncover this history and hold these moral standards, why shouldn't global pop stars in their late 20s, backed by a billion-dollar agency, be expected to do the same?
Which brings up a fascinating point about the corporate machine behind these idols. Why didn't anyone stop them?
That is the million-dollar question.
Fans are loudly pointing out the apparent lack of a cultural competence or PR team at HYBE, their agency warning the members of these optical landmines. And when you compare HYBE's response to how other K-pop agencies handle controversies, the silence is just deafening.
The industry comparison is crucial here. Let's look at Stray Kids' Felix, who is under JYP Entertainment.
Good example.
Recently, Felix faced backlash for casually mentioning a Japanese anime challenge on the fan app Bubble.
Right, I remember that.
The problem was, he mentioned it on a historically sensitive Memorial Day for Korea regarding Japanese occupation.
Oh, yikes.
It was a careless mistake. But JYP Entertainment and Felix issued a rapid, highly public apology. He acknowledged his lack of historical awareness immediately.
Because that rapid response is the standard operating procedure in K-pop. You have to protect the brand and sue the domestic Korean netizens. The K-nets do not play around.
Exactly. The machine is designed to course correct instantly.
Yeah.
But with HYBE and this Chris Brown issue, Total radio silence.
Nothing.
No statement, no apology, nothing. And this isn't an isolated incident of silence either.
No, fans are pointing out that Hybe also stayed completely quiet during the recent backlash regarding BTS's collaboration with Google Gemini AI.
That AI controversy was huge.
It really was. Fans were actively protesting, raising serious ethical concerns about the implications of generative AI replacing artists' labor and the environmental impact of the tech.
They trended hashtags, they sent emails, they organized boycotts.
And Hybe ignored it completely.
So you have a fandom that is starting to feel like there's no adult in the room. This stacking of controversies without any agency response makes fans feel like the corporate structure they trust to protect the artists is actually asleep at the wheel.
Right, and it fuels the panic. Because the fans feel like they have to scream louder just to be heard by the company. But to truly understand why this concert attendance feels like a personal heartbreak to fans and not just a PR blunder, we have to look at the very foundation of the K-pop machine itself.
You do.
And a recent academic thesis explains exactly why.
Which we will get into right after this. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update as we break down these complex industry dynamics.
So this is where we get into the recent academic thesis from Erasmus University. And honestly, it completely reframes how we look at fan behavior.
It's a brilliant piece of research.
It dives into the mechanics of the Hallyu wave, the massive global expansion of South Korean culture. The researchers point out that K-pop relies on a highly regulated, intensely controlled idol system.
Highly regulated is an understatement.
Right. We are talking about strict diets, rigorous training from a very young age, notorious no dating clauses, and mandatory public ideals of politeness, hard work, and extreme humility.
And the thesis makes a brilliant observation here. The line between celebrity as a person and celebrity as a cultural product is deliberately blurred by these entertainment agencies.
Deliberately.
Yes. They aren't just selling you a song to listen to on your commute. They are selling you a companion.
I was trying to think of a way to visualize this for the listeners, and the best analogy I could come up with is a Tamagotchi. Do you remember those digital pets from the 90s?
Oh, absolutely. You had to feed them, play with them, clean up after them, or they would literally die.
Right. The K-pop idol system operates on a highly sophisticated, emotionally supercharged version of the Tamagotchi mechanic.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
The agencies create an ecosystem where the fan feels entirely responsible for keeping the idol's career alive. The fans have to stream the music constantly to get a historic chart all kill.
Which is when a song hits #1 on every major streaming chart simultaneously, for anyone who doesn't know.
Right, thank you. And they have to vote on music shows, buy multiple album versions, fiercely defend the idol from rival fandoms online.
The industry demands constant, active participation.
And that level of required participation cultivates incredibly deep parasocial relationships.
Exactly. A parasocial relationship is a one-sided bond where a fan feels a profound, intimate connection with a media figure, even though that figure has no idea who they are.
Yep.
The K-pop industry has mastered the monetization of this specific psychological bond. Fans are investing their emotional identity, their time, their money into these idols. They feel a genuine sense of ownership over the idol's success.
But that creates a massive double-edged sword. Because on one hand, you have a fandom that will literally move mountains for you. They act as a highly organized protective shield.
They really do. The Erasmus thesis notes how ROIs actively protect BTS from harm.
Oh, all the time.
Look at March 2023, when Jungkook had to publicly call out sasaengs, which are obsessive, deeply intrusive stalker fans who were following him to his private gym.
That was terrifying.
It is. And the fandom immediately mobilized to protect his privacy and report the stalkers. Or look at May 2024, when ARMY's actively protested outside Hybe's headquarters. They sent physical trucks with LED screens demanding the agency do a better job protecting the members against malicious online rumors.
So the fans feel a profound, almost parental sense of responsibility for the idol's well-being.
Exactly. But the flip side of that parasocial contract is intense expectation, because the idols are marketed not just as talented musicians, but as perfect boyfriends, perfect role models, and morally upright individuals. The fans feel entitled to demand they maintain that illusion flawlessly.
The thesis points out that K-pop idols are expected to perpetually embody virtues without deviation.
Yes.
But let me jump in here because this is the core of the debate. The fans act as a protective shield against stalkers and corporate mismanagement, which is objectively good. But in return, they demand total moral perfection. Is the K-pop idol system setting an impossible standard that even global superstars like BTS inevitably have to break?
It's a huge question.
I mean, these are human men in their late 20s and early 30s. They've just come off a hiatus. They've lived life. They aren't perfectly programmed cultural products. Are the fans being unfair by demanding they never make a misstep, never hang out with the wrong person, never have a blind spot?
It's a fascinating ethical dilemma. And the thesis suggests that, yes, the standard is practically impossible for a human being to maintain 24/7 over a decades-long career.
It has to be.
But we have to trace the accountability back to its source. We have to remember who set that standard in the first place. It wasn't the fans who initially decided idols shouldn't date, or should always be perfectly polite, or should act as beacons of social justice. It was the agencies.
Right.
The agencies built the perfect role model box to sell a highly lucrative product.
Yeah.
The fans simply bought into the emotional contract they were aggressively sold.
So the betrayal the fans are feeling isn't necessarily just about Chris Brown. It's about the breach of contract.
Precisely. The mechanism of betrayal here is cognitive dissonance. When an idol steps out of that meticulously crafted box by hanging out with a figure whose actions directly violate the progressive, female-empowering image BTS has monetized.
The fans feel their deeply held parasocial contract has been violated.
Yes. The person they thought they knew, the person they invested thousands of hours and dollars into, is acting in a way that contradicts the established narrative.
It's a much deeper psychological wound than typical internet outrage. It's not just, oh, I disagree with your taste in music.
No, not at all.
It's, I thought you were better than this. I thought we stood for something else. I protected you, and now you are aligning with someone who hurts people like me.
Exactly. And the Erasmus research highlights that this emotional connection is so intense that fans often experience the events affecting their idols as if they were happening to themselves. So, when the idol aligns with a known abuser, the fan feels personally compromised by association. The time they spent defending the idol suddenly feels foolish.
Wow. When you frame it through the lens of that Tamagotchi metaphor and the parasocial contract, the sheer volume of the backlash makes complete sense.
It really does.
It's not just cancel culture. It's the painful mourning of an image they deeply believed in. And, you know, it leaves us with a really tough reality for the future of the Hallyu wave as these third and fourth generation idols get older.
Yeah, what happens next?
Exactly. I want to leave you all with a final thought to ponder. If the global expansion of Korean pop culture relies so heavily on the illusion of perfectly polished, morally infallible personas, what happens when artists simply outgrow the K-pop idol system, but their fandoms haven't?
That is the million-dollar question right there.
Can true, unfiltered artistic freedom, the freedom to make massive mistakes, to hang out with controversial people, to have messy, complicated, private lives, ever exist without breaking the hearts of the very fans who built the artist's empire in the first place? It's a question every major agency is going to have to face as their biggest stars refuse to stay inside the box.
You've been listening to Starscope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.